nation's capital, he continues to New York City and Philadelphia. In those cities, he's scheduled to meet with some of the poorest and the most powerless, delivering a message of inclusiveness that has snagged the attention of Catholics and non-Catholics alike. Judy Woodruff brings us a portrait of the church's first Latin American pope.
On March 13, 2013, a new pope was elected.
Habemus Papam.
Many were surprised to learn he is an Argentine.
Buonasera.
Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the first pope from the Americas, first Jesuit, and first non-European in more than a millennium. His chosen name, Francis, honors St. Francis of Assisi and his special concern for the poor.
How I would like a poor church, for the poor.
Soon, the new pope's message of change expanded to include others who had been marginalized: women, the divorced, homosexuals. When queried about gays, he set a clear sign of a new approach by asking a provocative question in return.
If someone is gay and seeks God and has goodwill, who am I to judge?
His statements on women's roles also made headlines.
Women in the church are more important than bishops and priests. I think we are missing a theological explanation on this.
But critics say not much has actually changed in terms of doctrine. For example, that women can never become priests.
I don't think that there is yet any signal that the deep, rich, important voice of women in the Catholic Church is going to be heard.
Marie Dennis is co-president of Pax Christi International, the Catholic peace and justice movement.
I am hopeful that Pope Francis will bring a change in the Catholic Church in terms of its relationship with the women in the Church. But I'm concerned that so far that isn't too evident.
Francis decentralized the hidebound church bureaucracy known as the Curia and accused its members of being careerist and of having spiritual Alzheimer's. He moved to clean up the notorious Vatican Bank, firing conservatives and promoting newcomers who share his vision. And he looked to make lasting change around the Vatican's most shameful and deeply troubling wound, the child sex abuse scandal. American archbishops were forced to resign. A former church ambassador to the Dominican Republic was indicted. A new tribunal was created to investigate top-ranked churchmen. Still, the efforts were criticized as too little, too late. Born in Buenos Aires, the eldest son of an Italian immigrant accountant, the Pope-to-be graduated secondary school with a chemical technician's diploma and worked in a lab, as a janitor sweeping floors, and even as a nightclub bouncer before joining the Jesuits. Biographer Sergio Rubin.
In just 6 years, he went from being a priest in a small convent in a province to being Archbishop of Buenos Aires and future Cardinal Primate of Argentina. His career has been meteoric.
In Argentina, he was known
as the slum bishop. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because that's where the center of his gravity was for, his time as archbishop.
He quadrupled the number of priests in the slums, lived in a small apartment, rode public transportation, and cooked his own meals.
He said the mark of the shepherd is you've got the smell of the sheep. You have to go out and not only teach, but listen to the people of God. And he said, my ideal of pastor was a priest I knew who knew the name of every dog in the slum.
The Pope's first ever visit to the U.S. will include a rare trip to speak to a joint session of Congress, following an invitation from House Speaker John Boehner. But Francis has not been shy about taking on controversial political issues. Most notably, he has spoken out about climate change and the negative impact of global capitalism. His recent encyclical highlighted humanity's role in global warming, and he urged leaders to act.
This home of ours is being ruined. And that damages everyone, especially the poor.
The encyclical calls for radical changes to the global economic system. So does Canadian activist Naomi Klein, whose bestseller, This Changes Everything, blames capitalism for ruining the earth and led her to joining the Pope's team of advisors.
And I think the encyclical is just a kind of a truth bomb. Like it's just has the force of coming from a place that isn't about appeasing public opinion, but is just about trying to tell powerful truths. And when powerful people start telling powerful truths, it's contagious.
It is his identification with the poor that most differentiates Pope Francis. His remarks on inequality and the excesses of modern capitalism have been forceful, and he has attacked supply-side economics, policies that call for tax cuts for the rich, as a near sacrilegious heresy.
For him, these are primarily moral issues. He is, in fact, speaking as a pastor when he's reminding us of the moral cost of our economy, of the profound, moral dimension of caring for creation.
Most recently, Francis called upon Catholic parishes and religious communities to take in refugees who are pouring out of the Middle East. Who is Pope Francis? To a great extent, he remains an image we create for ourselves.
Pope Francis is the conscience for this age of the world.
He is a man in a hurry.
Pope Francis is a breath of fresh air.
I think of him as kind of the Joan Rivers. Can we talk?
Whatever the Pope has to say during this visit to the United States, one thing seems certain: he is already a transformative figure.